Thank you very much for joining. I'm really excited about this webinar. My name is Aidan McGuire. I'm our Coalition Program Manager at Plastic Pollution Coalition. I oversee business partnerships. I appreciate you all tuning in today. This is part 2 of our solutions series, how waterless products make plastic-free packaging possible. We have a stellar lineup for you today of business leaders. Plastic Pollution Coalition is a nonprofit communications and advocacy organization that collaborates with an expansive global alliance of organizations, businesses, and individuals from around the world to create a more just, equitable, and regenerative world free of plastic pollution and its toxic impacts. All right, let's move into our poll questions. We have 4 poll questions today. The first 2 are typically the same, but very important nonetheless, just to get a sense of who is joining us. Each question is only going to appear for about 20 seconds, so please answer quickly. So we just love to know where you're joining us from today. As typical for most of our webinars, we have most of our attendees tuning in from North America, US and Canada, but we do have some folks from Central South America, the Caribbean islands, looks like Australia, New Zealand as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let's move on to poll number 2. What best describes the area or the focus of your work? All right, more of a mix here. Lots of nonprofit friends, and we have some business folks here. We have people from education, academia, government policy, healthcare, a little bit of research, arts and entertainment. So great, we have a nice mix of people. Okay, so 3 and 4, a little bit more pertinent to the webinar topic today. This one is about which common beauty products or personal care products are the most difficult for you to find in plastic-free packaging. And you can select multiple. Sunscreen is definitely a tough one. I also struggle with that. Cosmetics for sure. Moisturizers, body lotions, soap seems to be the easiest one to find. Probably the most common solid out there on the market right now. Let's see, moisturizers, shampoos, definitely tough to find. Really interesting. So let's move on to our final poll question. What has made it difficult for you to go plastic free when it comes to personal care and beauty products? What barriers exist for you to really make that change? So it sounds like access is the largest barrier for people, at least in this audience, to find personal care products in non-synthetic packaging. So really interesting. At 41%, we have cost, so generally more expensive. That's an issue. It looks like at 30%, in third place is a brand preference. You have a affinity to a brand, but they unfortunately still use plastic tubes, plastic packaging. All right, really interesting. Thanks for participating in our poll questions. So let's move on here. So today we are going to hear from Kate McLeod, Erica Rodriguez, and Sarah Splithoff, and this is all in conversation with Nicola Gray. So now I'm going to introduce you to our moderator, Nicola. Nicola is the co-founder and CEO of Kate McLeod, a company that creates innovative plant-based solid moisturizers that are completely waterless, sustainable, and plastic-free. Since co-founding Kate McLeod in 2018, Nicola has led the company's efforts to scale its made-from-scratch manufacturing capabilities and double down on its sustainability initiatives. We're really happy to have you. Thanks for moderating. Welcome, Nicola.
Thank you so much, Aidan. I'm really excited to be moderating this panel. We've got a really great group of incredibly inspiring founders who are pioneering plastic-free in beauty and personal care, which is not easy to do. So just really excited for a great discussion today. And I wanted to introduce our first panelist, Erica Rodriguez. First, Erica is the founder of Axiology, a plastic-free and vegan makeup company she launched in 2014 with the mission to build the most ethical beauty brand on the planet. A passionate environmentalist and advocate for animal welfare, Erica has dedicated her life to creating a kinder, more sustainable world. And Erica's journey, like my co-founder Kate's, began in her kitchen with a simple idea that beauty could be kinder, more sustainable, and still a joy to use. And as a fellow founder, working on plastic free, I've really admired Erica and the incredible brand she's built in Axiology, but also just the values that it stands for and that she so clearly stands behind. And so she's an inspiration for us and our team, and we're just so excited to be in conversation with her today. So welcome, Erica, and I'll pass over to you.
Thank you, Nicola. That was such a nice opening. I appreciate it. Well, so good to be here with everybody. Thank you so much for making the time out of your busy days. So, my name is Erica. I am the founder of Axiology, which is a vegan, plastic-free, planet first makeup company. Axiology started because I discovered that animal testing still exists in beauty. I am an animal advocate. Became vegetarian at 11, and I was even like, at age 15, I was going to the malls and like asking this people to boycott stores that were selling rabbit fur. So animal welfare is very much in my bones. And so when I discovered that all of my lipsticks were tested on animals, I was like, okay, no problem. I'll just buy vegan makeup, buy vegan lipstick. And this was early 2012, early 2013. It wasn't as common as it is now. And so I thought I'll just start making lipstick in my kitchen. And it just snowballed from there. And it took me about 200 formulations to come up with Axiology as it stands now. So I was riding high. I launched on Etsy and then quickly grew, started getting into like the world's biggest retailers. We were known as like the biggest vegan color collection. We were getting written up about in all of the major news outlets. All of our products came in these beautiful gold tubes that you see here. And then I learned about this statistic. So this totally rocked my world. I'm sure you've all heard of this, but basically the beauty industry creates 120 billion units of packaging waste every single year, most of which is plastic. And by 2050, our oceans will likely carry more plastic than fish. So that just really bummed me out. I am a tree lover, a nature lover, an animal lover. I live in Bend, Oregon, so I'm surrounded by trees. I have deers coming to my window every day. Like I see squirrels. I just love the planet. So you saw the gold tubes that our products used to come in. Those were made of plastic. And so once I found out about this, I took a field trip to our local landfill. It continued to bum me out, and I started to ask myself, like, should I even keep axiology going? Is there another way? Like, what could be done? And that's kind of where my whole brand transitioned. We ended up ditching the gold tube completely, and becoming a 100% plastic-free makeup company. So all of our multi-use products are housed in FSC certified and recyclable compostable paper tubes. And we also have our signature products, Balmies, which are little crayons for eyes, lips, and cheeks. And we ended up just wrapping those in paper. And today, because we're talking about waterless products, I really wanted to focus on our latest launch, which is our foundation. And that is a lightweight daily foundation made with reishi and snow mushrooms. So we were able to create a foundation that we were able to house in paper packaging that is compostable, recyclable, and then our outer packaging is actually made by women artisans in Bali who hand recycle paper trash and use traditional Balinese methods to create our boxes. So I did a quick Google search and looked up foundation. This is what came up on Google for the first page. And you can see that most of these foundations are housed in plastic, glass, plastic push-up. And that's because most foundations really are water-based, and so they need this kind of component, which is why we're really excited about the creation of foundation. So I took 3 of those foundations that I had Googled, and I did further investigating on their ingredient decks. No shame to those brands. I'm just pointing this out. So the first ingredient you see is water. And so when you look in an ingredient deck, the first ingredient is the ingredient that they have the most of. So most mainstream foundations do have 60 to 85% water. So you really are paying for water. We skip water entirely. We use nourishing oils like meadow foam seed oil, jojoba oil, cocoa seed butter, moringa seed oil, and of course, mushrooms. So yeah, all in all, we're just very excited that we are able to create plastic-free beauty products, which is really hard to do, and then also to create beauty products that also do not contain water. So thank you all so much for watching.
Erica, thank you so much. I think I actually didn't realize that your packaging originally had plastic and that you made the decision to go plastic free like midway through, on your journey. And it's such an incredibly hard challenge. And so it's incredible that you were able to do that and come up with something that still looks so beautiful and branded. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So now I get to introduce someone very near and dear, my co-founder, Kate McLeod. Kate is the OG founder of our eponymous brand. It is named after her and for a reason. And we are known, best known for our plant-based solid moisturizers that intensely nourish dry skin and also invite a magic moment of self-care into your daily life. So like Erica, Kate's journey also started in her kitchen. I met her when she was covered in cocoa butter, making our hero product in her kitchen. After years of perfecting the recipe, and we've sort of scaled our operations, the Body Stone has become our hero product and is at the heart of everything we do. So it's a special honor to be in conversation with her today as my co-founder. So welcome, Kate, and I'll pass over to you to give a little bit more of an overview of our brand.
I'm Kate. Thank you so much to the Plastic Pollution Coalition for bringing us together today and for having me. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you. At Kate McLeod, as Nicola said, we make solid moisturizers that melt directly into your skin. Because they're waterless, we don't need plastic bottles or preservatives, and that decision really changes everything. It makes the formulas more concentrated, which I will get into, more nourishing, and it allows us to use packaging that is completely plastic-free. The result is a product that feels so beautiful to use. I'm going to show you, and it's much better for the planet. I did not set out to create a sustainable skincare company. That is a real picture of me in my kitchen. And that's how this started. I was going through a big life transition. I was actually a pastry chef by training, and I was stepping away from that. And one day, my sister-in-law saw me putting on lotion in a plastic bottle. And she knew more than me in this area. And she took the plastic bottle and she took it away and handed me a chunk of raw cocoa butter to use on my body. And I had to literally take a knife and break pieces apart. And if you've never seen raw cocoa butter, it is hard. It is a rock hard solid. And it takes a while to melt into your skin. But when I warmed it up and I did melt it in, something really shifted for me. Something changed. The cocoa butter was simple, it was pure, and it was unexpectedly really beautiful. The closest thing I can compare it to, if you haven't seen it, is this beautiful sculptural white chocolate. But it was so much more than that. I look at my arm as I do this. It was a moment of slowing down and connecting, of touch and warmth with my body that felt so profoundly healing that I kept doing it. I became obsessed, not just with how it made my skin feel, but how I could make the experience better. I really wanted to rub it all over my body. And my background as a pastry chef gave me the skills and also a little intuition on how to actually work with the butter and the oils. And so, as you can see on this slide, the Body Stone was born. And if you haven't seen a Body Stone, I'm going to hold one up right now. The days I applied a Body Stone and spent time connecting with my body were just, very simply put, they were better days. My daily self-care ritual really turned into this chance for me by actually connecting with my body to reconnect with myself. And my skin was so moisturized and glowing. It wasn't just softening my skin, I was softening the whole experience of being in my body. What I didn't realize at the time is that this would unlock something much, much bigger, which became the Body Stone, a waterless formula that made plastic-free packaging possible. By taking the water out, I created a moisturizer that was more concentrated, more nourishing, and one that didn't need to live in a plastic bottle. As you can see here, just like foundations, most lotions are mostly water. They range from 75 to 90% water. Just like with foundation, you're paying for water in a plastic bottle with preservatives added to stop bacteria and mold from growing. And when you think about it, when you're shipping all of that water all around the country, it just doesn't make sense. By taking the water out, we made something so much simpler and so much better for your body. It is more concentrated, it is more nourishing, and far less wasteful. One of my favorite statistics about the Body Stone, and I think Nicola and I both took the Body Stone home and stripped down naked and actually measured this on a scale, but in one application of a Body Stone, you will put on more cocoa butter then you'll find an entire 16-ounce bottle of cocoa butter lotion. So just imagine how much more moisturizing ingredients you're getting in a solid. And it's so much more powerful because it's so much more concentrated. Our first round of clinical trials have shown that it keeps your skin hydrated for up to 72 hours. So rewinding 8-9 years, I had this beautiful solid moisturizer, but I had to completely rethink what packaging would look like. There were no packaging products for something that looked like this. And then one day I was in my kitchen and I spotted a salt canister over on my windowsill, a bamboo salt canister. And I thought about the material, and the bamboo is sturdy, it's water resistant, it's absolutely beautiful. I love looking at it. It's the kind of object that you want to keep and reuse in your home. And I thought this is amazing. And I'll also, if you're looking at the speaker, we wrap this up in a piece of cheesecloth, every Body Stone. And truly, if you're looking at this, it's a salt canister and it's cheesecloth. It really did truly come out of what I had in my kitchen. Together, this became our packaging system. It's intuitive, natural, plastic-free, and indulgent feeling. I love that you wrap the Body Stone up because you wrap up things that are near and dear and sacred, and your self-care practice and taking care of your body, that is a sacred thing, in my opinion. We sell our Body Stones two ways. We sell them in the starter kit, which you can see on the slide here, is in the bamboo canister. And then we also sell refills in recyclable cardboard boxes. Last year, we were proud to be awarded a US design patent for this reusable and refillable system built around our signature bamboo canister, a small but meaningful proof that you can solve for both elegance and sustainability at the same time. This is a photo of our Hudson Valley workshop on the outside. Every single one of our products is made here. By manufacturing our own product and working with mostly US suppliers, we further cut transportation emissions by about 50%. We are very proud to be climate neutral certified, which means we measure, reduce, and offset all of our emissions. We are members of 1% for the Planet, and I'm especially proud that our giving supports organizations like the Plastic Pollution Coalition. It's one thing to make sustainable products. It's another to hold ourselves accountable for the bigger picture. And for me, that's really what sustainability means. Not just doing less harm, but taking ongoing responsibility for the impact that we're making. You can find all of these products on our website, but we have expanded our plastic-free approach to new product formulas. The Body Stone is our hero. That is the one that I've been chatting about. That is our solid moisturizer. It is my personal favorite. We also make the Pebble, which is our solid bath and shower oil. You drop one or two of them into a bath. They come in a tray that looks like chocolates. It's so much fun to open and smell. You can also take them into the shower with you. The Everywhere Stick is probably the product I never leave home without. This has my favorite 4 butters in it. It is so powerful. It can go on your face, it can go on your lips, it can go on your elbows, your knees, everywhere, and on anyone. This is so great for kids. I lied. My absolute favorite product is actually our face balm. I have one right here. It's so amazing. This rubs right on your face. Again, everything here is waterless. I hope you get a chance to explore our collection. I'm so honored to share. And new functional formulations in categories that have historically had an unpleasant application experience. So with our hero product, the Body Stone, we offer many different scent formulations, which have just beautiful different aromatherapy benefits. So if you're a lavender person, a rose person, but then we also took a functional approach to our core product. The Sex Stone is, in my opinion, the most amazing sensual lubricant you will ever use. It goes from a massage into other things. It actually enhances rather than detracts from intimacy. There's no plastic pump. There's no awkward moment. The Dusk Stone is our natural insect repellent. And this year, we actually put it into a cardboard tube and called it the Bug Bomb. The Breathe Stone is our answer to like a Vicks vapor rub. And then the Recovery Stone I use all the time. That is chock full of arnica oil. It is so amazing on sore muscles. We always lead with how our products feel and how well they work. Traditional lotions, I'd love to like throw out another poll, but like I'm so curious. Like my kids hate lotion. Most people that I meet hate lotion. It's a watery, messy, goopy experience. And you always end up throwing away a plastic bottle where there's so much left at the bottom. I want to show you the Body Stone. So this, I'm going to stand up so you can really see. Literally, that's how easy this melts right on contact. It glides on like silk, and I am melting 100% plant-based butters and botanical oils directly into my skin. It's not going to get in your nails. It's not going to get in your rings. There is nothing left at the bottom of a bottle. There's no plastic pump, and it feels so good, and no water is going on the skin. That's just evaporating off. For us, this is what luxury looks like right now. It's indulgent, it's effective, and it's plastic free. Sustainability doesn't have to be a trade-off. It's what makes the ritual feel even more luxurious.
Thank you, Kate. And I think what's so interesting too, in your approach to plastic free is like really bringing in, kind of learnings from a different industry. The food industry, right, has a lot of learnings, I think, that can be applied across category in terms of being plastic free. And so really interesting to hear about your sources of inspiration in the kitchen and how you've applied them to beauty and personal care as a category. So thank you. So now I want to introduce our final panelist, Sarah Splitoff, who is the founder of Sunny Made, a brand on a mission to make self-care brighter with plant-powered, plastic-free essentials that love you and the planet back. With over a decade of agency experience, Sarah brings a marketer's mindset to the climate-conscious space. She launched Sunny Made in 2022 to empower consumers to make simple, joyful swaps that reduce plastic waste. And what I love about Sarah's work is just how much joy she infuses into sustainability. And I think throughout, all of what we've seen today, all of these better choices don't have to feel like a sacrifice. They don't have to feel any less branded, any less fun, any less of a joy to participate in. That plastic free can feel uplifting, beautiful, and fun. And I think Sunny Made really demonstrates this so well. And so, Sarah, so excited to have you here, and I'll pass over to you.
Thank you so much. Really excited to be here and appreciate the warm welcome. Wanted to just start off with a quick intro about Sunny Made. So we are a small business. We're based in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And as you can see, we offer plant-powered and plastic-free personal care. So hair care, lip balm, and bar soap. For today, I'll be focusing on hair care. So our shampoo and conditioner bars, as well as our bar soap, obviously both being waterless products. So our mission is simple: more plants, less plastic. Our products are thoughtfully formulated with natural ingredients that don't require plastic packaging, and we donate 1% of all sales to reforestation efforts. So we are quite literally putting more plants and less plastic on this planet. And we love that this mission enables our customers to do the same. So that's kind of like our bigger picture goal. Wanted to also share a bit more about me. So like both Erica and Kate, got my start in the kitchen as well. Spent a lot of time in there actually. So back when I founded Sunny Made, in my professional life, I was working in marketing. And then in my personal life, I was making a lot of sustainable swaps in my routine, and kind of saw this opportunity with personal care and with bar soap and shampoo and conditioner bars in particular, because I was just not feeling inspired by these sort of like plastic free alternatives in that space. And I felt that they weren't really doing a great job of telling sort of this compelling sustainability story that might motivate people to make that swap. So that's when I kind of thought, well, maybe I could use sort of my marketing background to help solve that problem. And that's when, yeah, we got to work in the kitchen, and tested about countless formulas, made around 6,000 bars in our tiny little kitchen until we finally expanded and got some more support and some more space from there. But really, we've always been kind of grassroots grown, still independently owned, and love to bring that sort of maker's mindset to everything we do. So yeah, so the problem here, which really inspired me, was when I learned that liquid products are primarily water. So most of what you're buying in the personal care aisle is up to 90% water. And when I learned this, this seemed kind of like uniquely irksome, especially in this personal care space where you're using shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, of course, in your shower where you already have water. So why are we adding it? And the addition of water then requires added preservatives because water can attract bacteria. Of course, requires then single-use plastic because you're relying on plastic bottles, but you're also really watering products down and making them large and heavy, which is costly and heavy to ship. So this all just kind of didn't make sense to me. So solution is remove the water. And so we ended up with like a really concentrated, super effective product. So one shampoo bar is equivalent to about 3 8-ounce plastic bottles. So you can spare a lot of plastic bottles from the waste system and at the same time be getting a more effective product because it's effectively a concentrate. So it's going to work super well. You're going to eliminate the need for plastic, water, and preservatives, reduce emissions, and you're only dispensing what you need. So it's going directly onto your hair and you're not losing any product along the way, dripping or sending it down the drain. So seems like sort of like an obvious solution to a huge problem. And that kind of led me to the next slide where you might wonder kind of how did we get here? Why are we watering our products down to begin with? And to me, this really felt like also a marketing problem. So historically, we didn't rely on plastic as a society. We didn't need it until post-war ads like these ones really got us hooked on sort of a disposable lifestyle. And we developed this sort of reliance on plastic that we didn't previously have. And that was behavior change that was learned, I think, with help from marketing. And also marketing taught us that bar soap was outdated or that clean hair care came from a plastic pump. And to me, this didn't happen by accident. We were kind of sold this story that we bought into. And marketers would say that shampoo bars have an awareness problem and that bar soap has a perception problem, which to me are also things that can be fixed with marketing. So my sort of philosophy with my business is really that capitalism can be a force for good. So we can use marketing to show folks that there can be a better way without trade-offs. And we really use design and storytelling and real education to kind of reframe what better can look like. And we're really here to show that sustainability doesn't have to feel like a sacrifice. It can feel exciting and luxurious and indulgent. And the last thing is that little things can make a big difference. So these effortless everyday choices really do add up. And when we all collectively make them, we can make a big difference. And similarly, that's how I look at my business. We're proud to be a small brand with a big message that I think is moving the needle. So these are all things that have kind of been my guiding light as I've kind of built Sunny Made. All that to say, you can't market a bad product. So it helps to have a stellar product. And ours don't just look good, they really, truly work. And that's a really big part of the puzzle that we put a lot of focus on. So we have proprietary plant-powered formulas that are free of toxins, free of harsh chemicals, and we rely on plant-based actives to help you achieve your unique hair goals. So things like rosehip oil for strength, mango butter for hydrated hair, and chia seed oil for shine. And these have been tested across lots of different hair types and shown to be truly effective. The reality is that we didn't need to add water to begin with. Of course, you have it in your shower, but there is an awareness gap about how to use the product. So it is really simple. You take the bar, wet it, you'll have immediate suds. Like they will multiply. It's very great lather that you then rinse out just like you would normally. And we find that it can last up to 75 washes. So a big part of our kind of challenge is helping to bring awareness to this and show folks that it can be easy and really effective. We have the reviews to prove it. So I'm told from countless customers, like, this is the best shampoo bar I've ever used. It's surprisingly sudsy. My hair looks great. And I think that's really an important piece of kind of helping people make sustainable habits that will really stick long term, is offering a product that they're going to love and feel like it's a really positive and joyful experience. And so that's sort of what we've set out to do and hopefully have accomplished. So yeah, that's kind of just a bit about Sunny Made. You can keep in touch with us on Instagram at Sunny Made. And I have our website there on the slide as well. And yeah, back to you, Nicola. I'm looking forward to more discussion.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And it's actually that is fascinating, that sort of marketing history. So thank you for sharing that. Lots to think about there. And we're going to move now to the discussion part of our panel, and I'll kick things off with a few questions that were submitted by attendees ahead of time. So as we go along, feel free to add your own questions in the Q&A. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can live. So go ahead and put questions in there as we're talking. So I'm actually going to go back to you, Sarah, just from a marketing perspective and with your experience on the marketing side. How do you feel like you've been able to sort of tell the story of waterless formulas, and how do you feel like consumers and retailers are responding? And do you feel like you've gotten some more traction as you've been in business over time?
Yeah, well, kind of like I've touched on, it really is an awareness problem. And of course, to me, like, marketing can be education, education can be marketing. So I think it's starting with just helping to kind of solve that awareness gap. And I have been met with skepticism. We still go to our local farmers market and sell in person, which is always fun for me to kind of really get a pulse on how people are feeling about this space and the product. And I always get like, wait, a shampoo bar exists? Like, I've never heard of this. Are you sure it really works? And I welcome that skepticism, and I think it's natural. And it's really just getting people over that hump of trying it, because I do find that once they do, they come back to me like, okay, you were right. It does work. Like, I'm loving this product. So, and awareness obviously is a really daunting thing when there's, millions of people on this planet to educate. But I think little bit by little, we're definitely getting traction.
That resonates. And I think it reminds me, Kate, of, I think in the beginning of our journey, for example, people would look at the Body Stone and they would be like, this is a soap. And so I'm curious, Kate, if you can also just speak a little bit about how our storytelling around Waterless has evolved, and how you feel, especially for you, you've been sort of boots on the ground educating in retailers like Sephora and Nordstrom. How are consumers and retailers responding over time?
If you didn't see it because the presentation was up, I'll hold it up again, but it's round. It's so nice. It fits in the palm of your hand. When as you said, I train in a lot of and go into Sephora's, to Nordstrom, I don't lead with the fact that it's waterless. What I love to do is I love to get consumers to give me their arm. I love to actually get them to feel it. And when we're talking to our marketing, we talk about how it feels on the skin. And we lead with that felt experience, and also with like the emotion and the ritual. Because very, very honestly, the reason that I started sharing this is it really, as I said in the presentation, it had such a profound effect on my life. I came in touch with my body. I connected with myself. I had a better day when I used this. And that's really what I wanted to get out and share that. So we lead with those elements. And then my favorite thing is when I put it on someone's arm and they feel it, And they're like, oh my goodness, that's not sticky. It's not like lotion. And then I tell them, you know, it's actually waterless and what that means and the whole like concentration fact and how much water is actually in lotion. It blows their mind. And so then they learn how like, because it's concentrated, it's going to be more efficacious. You can hook them with like that amazing experience, and then they're so open to learning more. And I think your point with Sephora, we're just so proud to be their first plastic-free skincare brand. And Nicole, I feel for both of us and Nordstrom the same. It's such a vote of confidence and showing like where the industry is going. Yeah.
Yeah, and Erica, I'm curious too, how you within, the foundation storytelling and the product marketing that you do, like how forward is, the waterless, in your talking about the formulation versus, the plastic-free packaging element. Can you talk a little bit about how waterless, features in your storytelling and how you're seeing consumers interact with that?
I actually haven't used that storytelling
Yeah,
before. This is actually making me
yeah,
reconsider. My whole piece has been on the plastic-free
plastic-free,
packaging
yeah.
side. Yeah.
No, it's really interesting. And I do think it's evolving. And I think consumers are more understanding in ways that they may not have been even, 5 years ago. And particularly, I do think there is more urgency around plastic free with consumers, but there can still be, that challenge to get consumers to sort of, get over the finish line or actively seek out or prefer plastic free products over others. And so I think one thing that I'm curious about, Erica, on your end is just like any challenges you see for, the consumer adoption of plastic-free, waterless products.
For the adoption, I mean, it was really challenging for us actually, especially when we came out with our balmies, which was in like 2020.
Yeah.
Our balmies, let me show you what those are. So they're just like these little crayons where we like completely ditched the tube and wrapped them in paper. And this is actually the same size as a standard lipstick, but without the tube, it's totally an optical illusion.
Mhm.
It looks like
Yep.
tiny. And so that was like, we took so many like questions, heat, like, people were like, you sent me a sample. And so it was like really important for us to just continue educating.
Yeah.
So yeah. That was a big challenge.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the convenience with it too, because people were like, well, these actually come in a little matchbox, but even that, and they're like very sturdy. You can throw them in your bag, but people just they weren't used to that.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, I need a cap. And I'm like, well, the matchbox does serve as your box. So yeah, we're just focusing on changing the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, the size perception and like value perception and like, just be removing that big bulky container, right? Oftentimes, that sort of people expect, or it makes it seem bigger or more weighty or somehow more premium. That can be a challenge. And I know, Kate, we've dealt with that a little bit on our end. Do you want to speak to, the challenges, you've seen in terms of, consumer adoption, over the course of our journey?
Yeah, I think people don't like change. Like they have their habits, they have things that they've used forever. And
Yeah.
so when you show someone a bar of soap, I mean, I remember Nicola really early on, we were very blessed. We were put in the Goop holiday gift guide. And I think the New York Post, it was like the most outrageous objects on the Goop gift guide. And I think ours was listed, it was like a $45 soap. And it's like, it's not soap. So that's one. But then you get someone to actually understand it's a moisturizer and they're like, why would I use this? And it looks so small. And I'm like, oh my goodness, do you know in one application of this on your body, you'll put on more moisturizing ingredients than exist in that whole 16-ounce bottle. Consumers just they don't realize how small the lipstick is in the tube. They don't realize how much water is in the foundation. They don't realize how much water is in the lotion. And what I love to ask people when I'm in store is like, how moisturized you feel when you've used lotion like an hour after, 6 hours after, the next morning. Like with a body stone, 72 hours of moisture. It's just those moisturizing ingredients. And so without any dilution, it's so much more powerful. I mean, I'm very biased, but we do things very differently here. As I said, my background, I'm a pastry chef. And what I'm so proud about in this product is that there's zero wax. It's just butters and oils. And so it feels so beautiful on the skin. And so we get like, not only is it's sustainable, it's plastic free, it's amazing, and it's a better experience than lotion. And so people are just so pumped once they try it. We have very loyal customers.
Yeah. No, and I think it's amazing that, something that is waterless, or you're taking something out, plastic-free, waterless, can actually really have these benefits that are, experiential. It's a better experience. It's more efficacious. And so I'm curious, Sarah, in your sort of, journey, into waterless and plastic-free, like what for you have been like the most exciting benefits that you've sort of uncovered, both that you have experienced in the product, but your consumers have sort of brought back to you as well?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to not lose sight of like benefits beyond it just being plastic free. And there
Yeah.
are many benefits beyond that. So, one big one I think is just that we can make a cleaner product. And a lot of consumers are very concerned about toxic ingredients and things that are added that are not there to nourish you, but are there to stabilize the product or do other things that have a negative impact on your skin or your hair. So, I think that's a huge benefit that it's wonderful that both plastic free and clean products go so well together and that those are very harmonious characteristics. The other thing I would say is that it's not just about, having clean ingredients or reducing plastic. To me, part of it, and Kate, you've talked about this, is like this nourishing self-care experience and having this routine that feels really indulgent. And for us, like as I watched my shower transition, it was like, shower rack, huge clunky plastic bottles, like things that I got from Costco in the jumbo size. And that wasn't creating peace in my space. And when I like look at this, just a simple dish, sorry, my background's taking over. But you see a simple dish with a beautiful bar that almost has like just a very nice, like minimalist experience. And I look at it as the equivalent of like looking at your pantry and seeing a bunch of cluttered like products from the grocery store that are packaged versus like a fruit bowl on your counter and like how that feels on my mental health. Like I feel like it's almost like decor in my space versus something that feels like overwhelming or like a to-do or something like that. So I think overall the holistic experience can be cleaner and can be less wasteful and can feel more nourishing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we're now talking about all these amazing benefits. These products are better, they're more beautiful, aesthetically, but they also are incredibly challenging sometimes to make, right? I actually think it's absolutely amazing that every single one of the founders on the panel today started in their kitchen, because it is hard to find even manufacturers who make these types of products and do it well. And so I'd love if just to hear from, everyone on just the difficulties that you've faced, trying to go waterless and plastic free, and how you've sort of worked through some of those challenges, or even just challenges you continue, to work through. So I don't know, and if anyone wants to hop in, maybe Erica, you could kick us off.
Challenges, I mean, so it took us 3 years to create our foundation. And once we have the formula, like we're rocking it. We're we're a very good team here. I think the main challenge that comes in is packaging. So just trying to, like, when we were transitioning from the plastic gold tubes to like what we have now, we actually wanted like a traditional tube that like felt like plastic. And so I was finding so many manufacturers that were like, yes, we can do it, but there's like, we can do an aluminum tube, but there's still going to be like 10% plastic in there. And like, but then people couldn't actually recycle that at home because of the tiny bit of plastic. It was like mixed. Or they'd be like, oh, we have a compostable lipstick tube for you, but it would be industrially compostable, which means like you have to compost it at a like very specific industrially compostable facility. And so the manufacturing just, it's maybe starting to exist, but
Yeah.
it didn't exist back then. So that's kind of why we were just like, we started with the Balmies to see if people were even interested in like, a package-free makeup product. We're like, let's just ditch the tube then because we have no other option. Like we did actually do a post-consumer recycled
Mm.
plastic tube for a little bit. And then it was like, well, what's the point? This is still trash. Those had been our challenges. We have overcome.
I'll hop in. I think like necessity is the mother of invention. And at least in terms of waterless, like as I mentioned, my background, like I worked extensively with chocolates. And so this kind of happened to be waterless. Perfecting the formula was extremely challenging, and cocoa butter is very, if you've ever tried to melt chocolate on your stove, you know it can go wrong very quickly. So that was very hard. But then when it came down to me like wanting to share it, I mean, originally before I met Nicola, I was literally cutting pieces of parchment paper and I was wrapping them up and I was tying them with like kitchen twine. And then I thought like I have to find something that will protect it. Like I had one girlfriend who put it in her bathroom and she was like, Kate, everyone who comes in thinks it's soap and they grab it. And I'm like, okay. And I went to a packaging fair and there was nothing on offer. And this is a story I always tell, but I was literally like, people laughed at me and they were like, you have to put this in a deodorant bar, but I really wanted to hold it in my hands, or add water and make it into a cream and put it in a tub. And that was the day I went home and I saw a small salt canister on my windowsill. And I was like, I bet you I could do that would work. Like if you look at kitchen appliances and you see bamboo cutting boards and spoons, it like repels water. It's super durable. It lasts a really long time. I also loved that the canister was flat, so you could stack it in like a bathroom cabinet. And if it dropped on the floor, it's not going to smash. It's not going to break. And also this is really a solid chunk of oil. And so your fingers get like a little bit on them and no oily bottle. It's just so nice. It's reusable. You can, anyway, but I know I didn't think this was going to happen. But then there was the whole, and I mean, Nicola knows this, the whole process of like, how do you label this? And I'll show you, but we use a collar, a recyclable cardboard collar, but figuring out this, and it's just, there's no blueprint for anything that's waterless or plastic is the bottom line. And then I'll hush. And so it's, you have to figure it out. And when you're figuring out anything, it's not easy. It's hard. It's also fun. And it's normally more costly.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great point that there's not like a playbook. There's not like templates or right, within other, the beauty industry, there's like the lipstick tube, there's the standard lotion bottle. You can't use any standard componentry. And so you kind of have to come up with it. Sarah, any specific challenges, you've faced or that you continue to face in your dedication to waterless and plastic free?
Yeah, I would just add that plastic is just so ubiquitous and it is in so many things that you basically almost have to be a chemist to know what is truly plastic free versus not. So when we did our packaging sourcing, I had to ask our like printers about like the same question in about 10 different ways. Like, but is it plastic free? But are there any laminates? But are there any, do the dyes contain any synthetic ingredients? Because there's the root of plastic, of course, is like fossil fuels. So it's really getting down to kind of like like where are we getting everything from, and how can we be really sure that it's not incorporating plastic? Because so many folks, like your sales rep at your supplier, is probably not well versed enough to even answer those questions. So it's getting to the right person that can answer them accurately as well. So it just requires a very thorough sort of interrogation from anyone you're working with.
Yeah. And then I think, one thing I wanted to wrap up with, we've had, so many great questions submitted, but, one that I would love to end with and get everyone, sort of do a round robin of hot takes on is, especially I think the poll at the beginning of the session sort of said that, one of the reasons that the folks attending aren't, finding plastic-free or waterless products is just, lack of sort of store availability or lack of availability at retailers. And so I'm just so curious about, how, each of you as founders like think about the big retailers and how we can get, bigger companies like, Procter and Gamble, for example, to embrace waterless, plastic free, what are the economic factors that might make, these ventures more lucrative in the coming years? Just as we think about, getting these types of, products more broadly distributed. I'm just so curious about your hot takes on what might incentivize or what needs to be true for that to happen. So, Kate, I'll start with you and then go from there.
I think consumers have to demand it. I think we're all doing such amazing work, and it begins with education. And the more people who are educated about it, the more there is a demand for it. The thing that pops up to me, it's just like, I never would have thought of this when I was growing up. I think of like organic cotton tampons now, and how a lot of major competitors in the space who probably laughed at like smaller companies when they were coming out, like, oh, look at this, isn't this cute? And then it became such a market, and now women know. And
Yeah.
now I believe you can buy like a pure organic cotton tampon from Tampax, and that just never would have existed. And it's amazing, but it has to be demanded.
Yep. Erica, what's your hot take?
I agree with everything Kate said. I mean, it really is the customers who have to really push for it. I mean, my industry, in beauty, like, is getting overrun with celebrity brands. And it would be so cool if a celebrity brand was talking about this stuff. Yeah, because it's just about awareness and, the trends, and it would just be really, really cool to see someone famous kind of hit that button.
Sarah?
Yeah, so of course, demand I think is super important, and obviously going back to just capitalism, right? I think bigger companies are going to follow where the money is, and if we're demanding it, then they're going to put their R&D dollars towards plastic-free products. And the other thing I'll add, I know some folks at Beyond Plastic that are working on the extended producer responsibility legislation, which would basically allow us to bake in the cost of the full life cycle of the plastic product in the cost of the product, because plastic is cheap, but it's not cheap on our environment, on our health, on our governments that are kind of bearing the weight of solving for this waste. So if we can pass legislation that allows the cost of plastic to truly reflect the cost of the planet, that will help. And then again, demand.
No, I think that that's really, really great point. And thank you, all of you, for the innovation that you're driving in this space, just like the thought and care that's going into the products, and the brand storytelling and the consumer education, right? Because I think that as we're talking about, that's the consumers being more educated about this and driving the demand is going to be so much a part of the story. In addition to awareness building on the policy side, which the Plastic Pollution Coalition is doing such a wonderful job of doing on that side of things. So just thank you so much for this conversation. I'm just feeling energized and excited leaving today, and I'll hand it back over to Aiden. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicola. Yeah, thanks to all the panelists. I really enjoyed that. I wish we had another 30 minutes. These webinars go so fast. We have a lot of questions, still unanswered, but you all did a great job. I learned a lot. So thanks for a vibrant discussion. And in just a moment, I'm going to announce our next webinar. First, I will say that we ask you to remember that these events are made possible through your support. So if you enjoyed today's discussion, we ask you to consider making a donation to us so that we can continue to amplify the voices of plastic pollution solution advocates from around the world. So mark your calendars for August 27th. We're going to be discussing plastic bottled water, the poison we pay for. It's actually a nice transition from today, seeming as if we pay for water and all of these personal care products and cosmetic products. And if you haven't already, we invite you to join our coalition. It's free as an individual business or a nonprofit organization. So head to our website, stay tuned to our work and join us. We'd love to have you. You can also connect with us on social media to learn more about our work. These are all of our platforms. We're going to send a survey after the webinar, and we really do appreciate your feedback to help us improve in future events. So thanks for joining. That's a wrap. We really appreciate all of our member groups and partners who shared this webinar with their communities and networks, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar on August 27th. So see you soon. Thank you all.